Welcome to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
And this is Chris in South London. We're going to be trying to continue sort of in the spirit of Eric and Sean. I don't know whether I'm going to be Eric, whether I'm going to be Sean, or whether we'll kind of create our own unique flavours. But yes, this is the first time that I've done a podcast, and I think is it. Are you a podcast newbie, Matt?
Guested on a few podcasts over the years, but this is my first attempt at having some sort of regular schedule. So I'm excited to give back. I plenty of them, so
yeah,
it'd be nice to do that.
Yes, yeah, no, it'll be good. It'll be good. So we were having a kind of a think before we started as to kind of like an opening sort of question and stuff, just so that we can kind of get to know each other, really, as much as anything else. So, what would you say would be your favourite Doctor/era?
I'm going to probably go with a consensus on this one, and I think from the classic era, I would say the Troughton era probably is, in some respects, very definitive in that it, without Troughton, I don't think the show would be where it is today. I mean, Hartnell definitely created the character, but so much of what modern Doctor Who takes from the classic series, I think, comes from that era in particular. So I'll be safe and go with that one.
It's interesting you say that that's the consensus. I mean, I don't think you're wrong, but I just remember sort of when I was kind of a teenage fan in the wilderness years, that it was it seemed to be the bloke with the scarf was the general consensus, and that definitely has kind of evolved of the classic stuff. For me, I mean, there is the cop-out answer, which is kind of the last Doctor I've watched / read about, because I do find it kind of I find it a bit challenging to kind of to rank them, but I think probably from the classic era, I would say Sylvester McCoy in the books.
Okay. Interesting choice.
Yes, sorry, Sylv. And I think also sort of from the modern era, it would have to be Matt. Though I mean, I also really do kind of enjoy the Hinchcliffe era of Tom, and so. Yeah.
Are you a Big Finish guy at all? Have you listened to any of the? I know he.
Yeah.
I think there was like a Philip Hinchcliffe box set that came out.
I've not listened to any of that, but I've kind of been sort of a bit sporadic on my Big Finish. I did listen to their 50th anniversary tale, and so I tend to kind of go for the biggies, and at some point soon, I think I'm going to invest in a War Doctor box set.
That would be
yes, which might be a good segue. The delightful folks at home will probably be kind of wondering sort of which book we might be wanting to start off with.
Unfortunately, probably a little timely, given the news of John Hurt's passing. But I think starting with Engines of War by George Mann would be a good book to kind of kick off the book club, in that it is kind of a new classic Doctor, and it also branches out a little bit from the format of the New Adventures, Missing Adventures, Eighth Doctor, Past Doctor cycle that the original book club podcast was doing. So,
and sorry, Eric.
It's kind of and it's continue to those ranges as well, but I think branching out a little bit and doing there's so much new series content now, it'd be a shame not to read some of it, especially considering that I kind of compulsively buy all the Doctor Who novels, so I've got stacks of unread books here, and it would be nice to kind of have some motivation to read some of them.
sounds good. I mean, as I kind of alluded to with my answer regarding eras, I mean, I devoured the New Adventures and Missing Adventures. I kind of drifted off a bit during the Eighth Doctor Adventures. So, but that's just because things like kind of university and real life kind of got in the way. I've not read much of the new series Adventures, so it'll be interesting as I'm looking forward to kind of discovering new authors and also kind of catching up with old authors, because I see that Gary Russell is very much kind of producing work, and also these days as well they have kind of sort of starry writers like Mr. Baxter and Mr. Moorcock. Oh, what's his name? Alistair Reynolds, I think. Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I know there's the new series range, but I don't know if there's all these like little subset ranges within that range, and it's kind of I don't know if you call them like deluxe books or
yes.
big name author books. But yeah, certainly I think reading some of those titles would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And certainly seeing how they kind of adapt. Because I remember reading, because there was a new adventure that was written by an at the time big name author who wasn't so heavily connected with kind of Doctor Who as far as I was aware at the time. And I remember reading it, kind of thinking, I'm not entirely sure whether you get it. That author was Russell T Davies. So the original series has already done. I'm forgetting what the name of the book is. Damaged Goods. Which is an excellent book. It's sort of very much late in the Seventh Doctor New Adventures run, but also you've got the Doctor kind of swearing in Gallifreyan and various other things where I'm like, yeah, it's not quite how the other books are, even though the other books were quite broad. That was my own personal take at the time, but I was kind of, but yeah, that's safe to say he has got the spirit of the show. My teenage self was wrong, but it'd be interesting to see how Stephen Baxter and Michael Moorcock and the like cope, because some of Stephen Baxter's stuff had originally been Doctor Who pictures, I think. There's a sequel he wrote to The Time Traveller that I think was originally a Doctor Who pitch in some respect. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good to see, and so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And we're also kind of thinking of maybe doing some of the graphic novels as well.
Yeah, I think that expanding the remit a little bit and getting some of those, especially the comics that have been collected into graphic novels. Both some of the newer stuff that IDW and Titan have put out, but then also what Doctor Who Magazine and Panini have published in terms of their collections too. We'll probably focus on the books, but we would like to mix in graphic novels into that as well. So yeah, I think that would be a great way to branch out a little bit more and take in even more types of stories from Doctor Who.
Definitely. Have you ever sort of been in a book club before of any type?
I was thinking about that.
Stealth book clubs, excellent.
Yeah, I think in what in the United States we call middle school. So 7th, 8th grade, there was a program called Junior Great Books where we did extracurricular reading, I guess you'd say, in classes. But as an adult, I attended a couple of like one-off book clubs, but not an ongoing one. So this would be a kind of a new experience for me in that. How about yourself?
Yeah, kind of fairly similar. I mean, we sort of went through various books in kind of English classes, but I've not actually been a kind of part of a book club per se. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting challenge. I mean, I do listen to a few book club podcasts as the original incarnation of this show, and also sort of Sword and Laser. I kind of listen to, so but sort of listening is not quite the same as doing oneself. But it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm kind of looking forward to the adventure.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about a little bit too is potentially rotating in additional participants too. So we want to keep that door open. I think I've two or three people on Twitter so far that have reached out and have mentioned that they may want to sit in on a future book, and I think that'd be great to bring some additional voices. I've also reached out to some of the guests from the previous book club podcast, so it'll be. If any of you are interested in joining in as well, most book clubs that I've seen representations of, it's like a small group of people in a circle discussing a book, sort of thing. So getting those voices would be all for that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's the, I mean, the TV program and the franchise, I think, is a kind of, is a fairly inclusive one, and so we want to have a kind of like an inclusive show, and have a kind of a variety of different voices. So yeah, that the more the merrier. We also need to have a little think as to kind of what we're going to be doing for our kind of cycle once we've finished Engines of War. We can have a muse on that as to what we go for our kind of our next one, because I do have my collection of new adventures is kind of somewhere. Actually, you probably can't see it, but well, actually, you might. There's a door with much mustiness, and that's got quite a few boxes of. Oh,
mine are on the shelves here, and then there's some of the.
And a fantastic array of choose your own adventures, which is
a complete set.
fabulous. Fabulous.
Have you seen the new Capaldi Choose Your Own Adventures?
No.
There's.
Oh wow. Okay. Right. Oh, and Trevor Baxendale, a name I recognise. And Jonathan. Yeah, I don't know who. Okay.
Night of the Kraken.
Yes.
And Terror Moon are the two.
Okay.
They're called Choose Your Future.
Right. Yes.
And
be still, lawyers. Be still. Yes.
So funny story about I'm a kind of a Choose Your Own Adventure fan, and the Doctor Who has a little kind of unique history with that. So kind of as an aside, there were I think six books published in the mid '80s, and then the 10th Doctor and Martha had 12 that were published, and then the 11th Doctor, Amy and Rory, had I think 4 stories that were published. So
I remember reading the 6th Doctor ones, or at least some of them, because I seem to recall, didn't some of them have some random choices of companions coming back from the past?
Oh yeah, like K9, yeah. And Pippin Baker, I think, wrote one of them too.
Right. Yes, I recoiled in horror. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, they were not necessarily my favourite writing pair. I was also thinking one thing that we could do as well, because because we had been thinking as well of kind of target novelizations, and because there are some of the target novelizations are obviously aimed at very small people. And but some of them are also kind of interesting, kind of cultural artifacts. And there's a David Whitaker, and because some of his stories were a little bit kind of broader than your typical William Hartnell. In he would sometimes go a little bit off piste, and in his book for the Crusades, I don't know how well known this is over sort of outside of these British Isles. He decided to rename Susan's husband. He decided
not David.
Well, no, David. Yeah, David. Or maybe he just forgot the surname. So instead of having David Campbell, there is a reference to David Cameron, who is Susan. Nowadays, yes, you suddenly go, "Whoa, what?" Because my and my wife showed me a kind of a screen grab. And I'm like, that's not Susan's. What's going on here? And yeah, as well as the kind of like the target sort of novelization, they were also, when they were starting to run out of material, they were doing novelizations of some of the Colin Baker missing season 23 sort of scripts as well. Though I have to say, I do recall reading at least one of those and finding it an interesting read where I think every chapter was about 3 pages, um, and yeah, and I think I was only about kind of 10 at the time, and I remember thinking, oh well, this is a little bit shoddy. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of to to read those, and also there is a missing past Doctor adventure. I choose my words carefully because there was Jim Mortimer had a book, I think it was Byzantium, that was rejected by the publishers, and he decided to go and publish it on the sort of in some shape or form, I think, on the internet anyhow. And that might be an interesting read if
I
that is still
I think
accessible.
there are two of those.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
is there one called Campaign?
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Yeah,
It's
possibly.
I have it on. I have more shelves over that way
Okay, right.
with more books on. It's on there somewhere, but I think that, yeah, there's that one, and then there's some other kind of tangential novels too, like the Companions of Doctor Who,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Turlough and the Earthlink Dilemma, and I think the Ian Martyr's book.
Harry
And he
Solomon's
wrote he
War.
yep,
Yes.
and he wrote quite a few Target novelizations, didn't he?
He did. He did. He was also, I think, the first Doctor Who author to write a swear word in a novel because I can't remember which word it is, but in the in the Enemy of the World, there is, I think. Certainly by New Adventure standards, a very mild swear word. Because yes, because if you are kind of new to the kind of the concept of reading the New Adventures, and if you are a kind of if you are a younger member of our audience, or if you know a younger member of our audience, you maybe want to be very careful because the New Adventures, yeah, they go to some interesting places with some interesting language. There's no kind of skirting around, but yeah, certainly we want to do. I have very fond memories of Harry Solomon's War. I remember in the school in some kind of French writing thing, sort of writing that was my favourite book. I was 11, and my opinions may have changed. But yeah, I do remember it being a little bit nuts. So yeah, that would be good fun to do, and also maybe some of the Benny Summerfield books as well, possibly. So yeah, just I think kind of see how we go because there are, whilst those are very much on the tangent to the rest of Doctor Who, though, there are some, from my memory, some absolute crackers in there. As you've got kind of Lawrence Miles doing his Lawrence Miles thing, and just kind of going a bit bonkers. Though also now I do want, because a lot of that feature the Also people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, who, which at the time I thought was a brilliant, fantastic invention, and I've now read Ian M. Banks, and but it's in the grand tradition of kind of Doctor Who writers of kind of pilfering stuff from elsewhere and kind of putting a Doctor Who spin on things. So I kind of when I started reading the Culture book, oh, this is where this came from. But yeah, I would recommend the Benny books. I don't know how easy those are to find on kind of Kindle or secondhand bookshops or the like. So I think that's something we probably kind of need to be spoken about. We probably need to be a little bit kind of respectful for us because I'm not necessarily wanting people to be forking out some of the silly sums of money that you can see the New Adventures books go for. But
I do have the Benny books.
okay,
Compulsion to. I think I have a complete set of every. Probably easier to say that I don't have the annuals, and I don't have some of the books that were aimed at
little
strictly
people.
at kids, like the Canine Discovers,
Oh yes.
those sorts of books. But in terms of like novels, I think got a pretty good set. But yeah, you can make a really good point in terms of like listenership and whether or not they're able to go out and get a copy of some of this stuff too.
Mm.
And with the Benny books, I think one of the things that would probably help with that, if we were to read a few of those, is to, like you said, pick authors like Lawrence Miles or Kate Orman or Paul Cornell that you might have some crossover appeal with the main ranges. And then some of the books too, I think, feature aliens or monsters from Doctor Who that are kind of in a new environment. And one of the books I was thinking about reading for Peter Capaldi is still in the role. Really want to read one of the books featuring him, and so far there have only been 6 that have been published, and the one that's, if you don't count his Choose Your Own Adventures, but one of them is by Gary Russell, and features the 12th Doctor meeting Benny. So I think she serves as, in that companion role in that book. That might be one to look at in the future.
That's very much a firm candidate. And also, because it might help introduce a new audience to Benny. Because I remember at the time, I kind of sort of slightly fell in love with Benny. Sort of when she was a companion, and I found I was quite conscious of the fact that I was enjoying more reading about her than I was necessarily read about the other members of the TARDIS crew. And particularly because I'm not convinced that a good job was made of Ace about when she came back. but anyway, that's almost spoiling my reactions to some of these.
Oh yeah, I was going to
say. Yes.
To save that for the podcast episode.
Yes, yeah. But no, it'll be good. Do you have kind of, probably best if we're kind of going into our memories of the books that have already been covered on the podcast, so that we don't spoil. But is there a kind of a book that you sort of have particular kind of fond memories of, or from any of the ranges?
Even though I've been collecting the books, I haven't read a whole lot of them. I'd say I've probably only read maybe 15%, and that's maybe being generous. The first one I've read was of any of the ranges. I should back up a little. I got into Doctor Who with the 96 TV movies, so it's kind of a weird place to start in the middle of the wilderness years. So for me, the 8th Doctor definitely was my Doctor, and then following along with some of the books and the audios. And the first Doctor Who book I ever read was Evolution by John Peel, which was a missing adventure 4th Doctor Sarah Jane story where he meets up with Arthur Conan Doyle, and it kind of serves as the inspiration for the Hounds of the Baskervilles. I don't think it was
that one. Yeah.
It was. I don't know that it's up there, but it was memorable enough that I got more interested in the ranges and started picking up the books. In terms of a favorite, gosh, I'd have to think about that one for a while. I think I have read quite a bit of the Missing Adventures, especially from the Virgin range. So it would probably be one of those, but I'd have to narrow it down a bit more, I think. How about yourself? Do you have?
I have very, very fond memories of reading, and I'm kind of trying to restrict myself here to books that I remember Eric and Sean speaking about. Conundrum, which is the Stephen Lyons book.
Is that set in the land of fiction?
Yes.
I have read that one.
Yeah. That I thought was brilliant, and also Love and War as well. The Paul Cornell book, which I remember at the time thinking was absolutely staggering, and sort of particularly the way of kind of both writing out a character, but also kind of exploring Ace's backstory in a way that kind of sort of made sense, kind of tied into the main themes and things, and also because I'd very much enjoyed Mr. Cornell's previous efforts. So and I can't say I've read all of his stuff, so because I've not read his Benny book, which I think is, Oh No It Isn't, maybe.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
I've heard the Big Finish adaptation of that, but of course that's very condensed, and I do remember really enjoying it was kind of a 2-part one that launched the Missing Adventure range, Goth Opera and Blood Harvest.
Yes.
I remember really enjoying those two, and kind of how very similar to the Big Finish Audio Flip Flop, where you can read the books in either order. They kind of dovetail into each other, which was a lot of fun. And I also really liked the I don't think it was part of any particular range, but it was called Who Killed Kennedy. It was, I think it was written by, was it David Bishop? That I may be wrong there.
I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because there was a pseudonym, like the person who's listed on the cover is the character in the book. So maybe that's why I'm not remembering the.
Yeah.
No,
that. Yeah. I was kind of thinking that's another one that's probably worth doing. Though I remember that's very much for the hardcore fans, from my recollection. Just because.
Yeah, a lot of cameos.
Yes.
by former characters on the show, and interesting places some of them end up.
Yes. I think we best not say any more of that for kind of spoiling. But yes, because I remember for many years there'd been much talk on sort of that people saying, well, there's no really need to have like a 2-part Doctor Who book, and how could a story stretch across 2 books and kind of be coherent and stuff. And I mean, I'll leave it to the reader to decide as to whether or not Interference is necessarily coherent. But I just remember it just being a fantastic sort of kind of mind-blowing journey, and quite a lot of concepts that Lawrence Miles kind of threw in were incredible. I'm not going to go into too many details. Well, I'm not going to go into any details, just in case anyone hasn't read it. But I think if you like the mythos being kind of tipped on its head, sort of Interference definitely, and also Alien Bodies as well. I can't remember the specifics of Alien Bodies, whether it's now been contradicted by the show, but
yeah, I think it was a similar premise. I remember there being some posts about that online around the time that Time of the Doctor aired, in terms of parallels.
Skirting around. Yes, yes, because we don't want to accidentally ruin anybody's reading pleasures. So, is there anything else that we feel we kind of is? Hopefully, we'll be kind of recording episode soon. I'm just about halfway through Empires of War. Engines of War, even. So I shan't go into too much of my experience just yet, because I don't want to kind of to ruin anything. But hopefully we'll be kind of in a position to do a to kind of record that in the relatively near future, and we'll kind of put that out into feeds and stuff. So, is there anything else you want to?
No, I just want to thank everyone for subscribing to the podcast, and we'll hopefully continue on the tradition of the book club, and read a lot more Doctor Who novels and discuss them, and I think it'll be a great time. It'll be fun.
Yep. And we might also continue the tradition that this podcast has had of sometimes being slightly late, so apologies in advance if we do. But we'll be carrying on in a very noble tradition of gentle tardiness in the nicest possible way. Because it can sometimes be tricky, I think, to kind of fit in reading. Sometimes reading in a book a month as well as kind of doing other things. But we will do our level best to ensure that we are on time and things. Okay, cool. All right. So I shall start kind of wrapping this up.
Sounds good. So this is Matt in Minnesota, and want to say thanks again for listening, and happy reading.
Mm-hmm. Happy reading indeed. This is Chris in South London. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the all-new Adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. You can contact the show and follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast. Our music is the Doctor Who theme, Swing Jazz version by George C. Music, used with attribution under Creative Commons license. Until next month, happy reading.